Start.
Get off your phone.
I have it on my phone too. I have one paper copy if you want to get started.
That's fine. Thank you so much. Let's work the rest on the phone. Print a copy.
You hear us okay, Suzanne?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Yeah, sure can. Great, thank you.
Great. Hi.
Okay, so it's 5:36. I call the meeting to order of the Economic Development Commission. Roll call, Robert Boris, Commissioner.
Susan Dallin, Commissioner.
Sam
Suzanne
Eisenbeister,
Ellery.
town staff. Yep, go ahead, Suzanne.
Sorry, Suzanne Ellery, Commissioner.
We good?
Go ahead, Jim.
Yeah.
Am I a new member or just
Yeah,
commissioner?
So I'd like to introduce, we have a new member and, one of the most talented coaches of the T-ball team.
Thank you. Thank you.
But
Talents
we're
too.
also really grateful to have you, Joe, join, and if you want to say a few words.
I'd love to. Well, first of all, thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be part of this. And in my last, I did about 15 years of politics. And I'm actually just came,
To even
Thank
be
you.
part of the team.
I just came from a sale committee, Groton Sale.
Nice.
And I was so excited to step out of politics and then get in a position where everyone's rowing the boat in the same sort of direction. That happened at the Groton Sale. And just in our brief meeting, when I came to the interview at the last meeting, I felt the same kind of synergy. I'm really looking forward to being part of this and just moving Groton forward, the business. I'm excited and I'm glad that you guys are gonna have me on here and I'm just looking forward to all the things we're gonna do.
Well, you have so much insight. It's really fortunate that you're on the commission with us. So welcome.
Well, thank you. Yeah,
Welcome.
we're really
Welcome,
grateful
Joe.
for your experience.
Thank you.
Okay,
And Aaron, he's on the commission, but he can introduce.
Aaron Brooks, Groton Utilities Liaison.
Tim.
Is Paige not, I'll forget, is Paige still not well or are you on vacation?
Oh, he's fine. He's just out of town. So I'm checking the online listings and we have no other attendees in terms of public communications and nobody present.
okay.
Usually have one person.
Okay, approval of minutes.
Oh, for the public you mentioned that with regards to that letter, you can just save it and throw it in the
Okay,
agenda.
Okay, it's
I think either way is fine.
it's an agenda item on Center Ground Sewer. I'll read it out for that. That way, if someone else comes in, we can talk about it at that time.
Sounds good.
But
Thanks.
approval of last session's minutes.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to accept the minutes.
Okay. And
I'll second.
all those in favor? Opposed?
Aye.
That was in favor.
That was an aye. Thank you,
Okay.
Susan.
Okay, all right, they're approved. Okay, let's see, annual report, we'll push that. I'm working on that. Bill and I are working on that. For the last year, what was going on in our putting together the objectives we kind of discussed earlier.
Right, the calendar 2022.
Yep.
Okay.
So, okay, business outreach. We had a great meeting. Suzanne led that, the first subcommittee meeting about that. And I'll turn it over to Suzanne to discuss
Okay.
how that went.
Great. Thank you. And Joe, just for your benefit, I think it's kind of good to maybe go around the table and say who's from where, so you know who's who. I was at Pfizer for 34 years and my last role there, I was a scientist. My last role was the site affairs lead. So I was involved with community outreach, media relations, government relations, et cetera. So very excited to grow Groton. That was always, what we're trying to do at Pfizer, get people to live here, not just work here. So very passionate about getting more housing and creating a sense of place for Groton. So anyway, very glad that you joined us. So welcome. So we had our first meeting of the subcommittee for business outreach, and we had myself and Bill Groves and Bob and Sam and Paige and Lauren. We were missing Kyle. I think Kyle's very interested in doing this, so we're going to provide him with the minutes. But what we're really trying to do is just create some tools for us. And so Sam and Lauren have done a great job creating some tools that we can use to walk into businesses locally and say, hi, we're from the Economic Development Commission. This is what it means. And, you know, how are things going with you? How's business? How can we help? Here's some things we can do to help you. And here is a handout. And here's our cards, our business cards that have a QR code on them. And you can scan this and go to a quick survey and let us know how we can help you. And then we will be also working with another tool that Sam and Lauren created for us to capture who we met with and what their email is and any information. And then we're going to try to create a new database. We're letting go of anything that happened in the past. We're starting anew, and we're asking everybody on the EDC to join in our efforts to do some business outreach, which I'm sure it will be pretty easy for you, Joe, since you probably done a ton of this. So we're just trying to create a new database for all of us to work with. And then if we see any trends or any opportunities, then we can bring that up to the town council. So what we're trying to do is for anybody who wants to be, well, first of all, for the EDC, it'd be great if we can all get our personal profiles updated and in there. There's only 2 in there so far, me and Robert, so we're lonely. So please come join us. Add your EDC profile. That will be great for people to be able to go to the Greater Groton website and, you know, see who we are, what our backgrounds are, etc. Let's see what else is going on. We talked a little bit about social media and how can we use it. So we're looking into that. There is a Facebook page for the EDC, correct, Sam? That has a certain number of users, but we're looking into, should we, you know, if we do Instagram, then somebody has to be responsible for constantly updating it, or it's, you know, it's a dead tool.
Sure. Yeah, that's what we talked about. What we found is that at some point there had been a member who had started a Facebook page, but it's since been orphaned and, you know, kind of abandoned, and really starting over, you know, makes as much sense. But the thing that we talked about at that meeting was you want to make sure that you're ready to commit to something before you start it. And so don't rush into it. Think about what platform makes sense and make sure you've got a game plan for continually pushing it out, adding content, and, you know, kind of keeping it up to date. So that, I would say, that's ongoing, and through the subcommittee that you guys can keep working on that.
Thanks, Sam. And we're trying to come up with a time to meet once a month for, you know, 45 minutes, an hour maybe, with this subcommittee. And so, you know, Joe, if you'd like to join the subcommittee, let us know. We'd love to have you. It's a small group of us. And I reached out to Lauren to ask her to send out a quick poll on what time of day would work. Like, is there a certain day that works better for others? I'm retired from Pfizer, but I'm a full-time caregiver. So I just need to set up, I need to go ahead of time so that I can get some coverage. And so I'm hoping that we can find maybe just a same date and time every month. And if we have to adjust it, we will. So we're in the process of setting up these monthly meetings. So again, Joe or anybody in the room, if you're interested in joining us, let me know.
We will have some sort of a limit, just because we don't want it to constitute a meeting of the EDC as a whole. But I think as it stands, we can have Lauren include Joe in that poll, and I think that's probably still appropriate.
Okay.
It's just, the great thing about the subcommittee is we can really get into the nuts and bolts of like how Instagram would work, or how, you know, rather than drag this meeting, you know, it's a great.
Bring it back to the commission.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. To sort of get our roll up the sleeves and figure out like metrics we want to meet or goals we want to set and everything like that. So.
Suzanne, if you don't mind, I was just showing this for folks.
Sure.
This is the grotonbusiness.com website, brings folks to here. So this will be on everyone's business cards. There's the link. So when you direct businesses to this location, they can take the survey. And then they can also go to the member profiles. And the goal here is that they'll see that friendly face that stopped by their restaurant or whatever and say, oh, that's the person. Yeah. So we've got Kyle on there. So this is where we're asking folks to just send us an image and you know, your file could be sent to Lauren, and it'll get up here.
Okay.
Yep. So thanks. And just to follow up, we are doing new business cards that'll have the grotonbusiness.com on there. It'll also have a QR code on the business card. That'll be the first wave. The next one is we're gonna hope to do a leave behind, kind of a postcard size leave behind that gives a little more explanation. Just so you guys are equipped, whatever the scenario, you go in there, people are busy, but you want to do something to say, hey, check out the website, take a survey. I'm happy to follow up when you're less busy. So yeah, so those are forthcoming.
I just want to plug one of the tools you guys gave us, which I think is really awesome. The follow-up tool where we can actually put notes in for the business that we met with. And one of the things I encourage everybody to do too, if you have ideas, if you just come up with stuff, we can use it as well. Because what it does is it sends it in, the town staff's able to compile the list and then look at stuff. And, a lot of times things get lost. I know I write ideas down in the middle of the night. I forget, you don't want to take up a meeting thing and think doesn't get, but it's a really good and good way just to catch all that stuff that we then talk about later on.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And that's, you do that on the grotonbusiness.com.
Yeah, Sam has the link for it.
It's a separate page and I'll send,
Yeah, it's our
Yeah.
own, is it racing too, or is it it's technically?
no, it's actually an Airtable form. So it's accessible, but really it's just for you guys.
Right. But it's simple it's not complicated. It just gives us a nice
Very
window. You
simple.
enter your stuff, goes
Yeah.
into the database and stuff.
I don't know if I'm speaking out of school here a little bit, but the City Economic Development Commission also has a tool that they're leveraging for their community outreach or for their business outreach. So I don't know if there's any,
Yeah,
We have community, like cross community.
because I mean, the town certainly incorporates the city.
Right.
Because the town oversees all of it. So I don't know, there might be some, I don't want to
Yeah.
overuse synergies, but
no,
there's.
that's great. I was going to bring up, I had a discussion with Sierra about
Yeah.
us working together more with the city EDC. So I'll put that on the agenda to talk about the tool integration stuff too.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Just to keep you guys in the loop.
Good idea.
Yeah, I think they're pretty good. They've been collecting data for a little while already.
Yeah, I don't know much about it, but I do know that they have a tool that they use for tracking for business outreach. And also, their tool will push out like assignments, for lack of a better word, like you can assign a business to a person, yeah, and say, okay, here's your 3 businesses to hit this month or whatever.
You hear that, Suzanne? You can start assigning us stuff if we.
Oh,
I like it.
It shows up in your bucket in your
Yeah.
email.
But yeah, so just so you know.
Awesome. Thank you.
No,
very
I like
much.
the idea of collaborating with Sierra Patrick. Why reinvent the wheel? So I'll have to find a way to reach out to her. I used to work with her a while back.
Yeah.
So
I'll loop you in, Suzanne. Well, she's
okay,
great.
that'd be great. Thank you very much. So
And
that's all I
we're
really
looking
have.
at-
So I just want to say thank you to all of you, because I think this is on all of us to do the business outreach, just not just the business outreach subcommittee. So actually, well, while we're talking, has anybody had a chance in the last month to go out and meet with any businesses? Is there anything to share high level?
Anything in the, I put one in, but it's my family business. So it was really easy to ask my mom what she thought. It's really to put the notes in there, but I also talked to Paul's Pasta and some things. I'm right on Thames Street, and I'll be a top producer for the next meeting. I promise you. I really love this tool.
Well, people usually neglect their family, so I commend you.
Exactly.
I think that's really.
She's tough to talk to sometimes, you know?
There you go. So that's all the more
Right?
reason.
Bob, I
So
don't know
what-
what your
how-
mom, what is your family business?
We do technical publications, where it's for the Air Force and the Navy and things, and we're right on Groton there. My mom founded it in 1981, so we're a family, a woman-owned business.
Wow.
That's
Great,
wonderful.
amazing.
Great.
So
Thank you.
how does it work? So now you walk into a restaurant and then you ask them,
Yeah.
you give them a QR code or something, or?
Yeah, you discuss this, so for me, it's really easy. I go to Paul's Pasta almost, every day of the week, and I just talk to them, be like, hey, by the way, I'm part of the EDC, what experiences you're having doing business in Groton, anything you need help with, here's my card. If you need liaison with the government officials or any sort of regulations, we're here. It's sort of that really informal thing you do naturally, Joe, it's.
Yeah, you're not recording recording it anywhere though, or you're just,
And then if they give you some stuff, that's
what you said.
Yeah.
put it in
I've got
there.
that up now, Suzanne. So
The key is to start the awareness that we're here to help with that, because I think so few people like kind of understand,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And then later on, we also, I spoke with the Chambers of Commerce and both Bruce and, the Southeastern Connecticut, they're willing to give free passes to events and things like that. So, you let the business owner engage. If they have the time to talk about that, you could say, we have a lot of resources if you want to go to a business
Okay.
before hours and after hours. I think Suzanne has a good approach. In the next meeting, we're going to kind of come up with a little more of a, not a script, but like a menu, right? And based on where the conversation is going, you can offer
And the
that.
type of business too.
Yeah. to the
Yeah.
business.
Yeah, so what I, and every time it's naturally do is I'll go into a business and I'm very interested, especially during COVID and 2008 and all the different crises in our economy that affect local small businesses. I always ask whoever's there, either the clerk or the owner or whoever's around, how's business? And that's sort of the lead in, and then I tell them on the commission and then it kind of goes from there. Very simple, but I think a couple of points, like Bob's saying, that you could reference, but it's very simple,
Yeah.
engaging, and that's you. I mean, that's who you are. So it'd just be easy for you to just kind of slide into a nice.
I talk to all businesses every time and it's always that we can't find help.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
line
That's true.
right now.
Yeah, but and then again, we're here to support businesses.
Yeah.
We want to be your voice, and so.
Okay.
And if they're interested in being part of the EDC, actually George brought up the other day about Johnson's Hardware. We were trying to reach out and involve them.
Yeah.
And maybe get somebody involved on the commission
Bill
there.
was on the commission. Bill Johnson was on the commission
Yeah.
for a while, a
Okay.
few years ago. So, and he was great. So if you get somebody from there, that'd be good.
The key thing is, a lot of times from top down, we assume what the issues are, but the more we have these conversations, the more we're gonna address the actual issues and things like that.
Okay.
Valuable resource. Have more attendees.
yeah, I just wanted to point out the form. And so this is a simple form. If you don't already have the link, we'll make sure we send it back out to you. As you can see, the little stars on here indicate we're, it's required for you to do the submission. So make sure you grab that. One of them is the email. That way we can follow up later. But along Suzanne's suggested path here, it's like iterative. We're going to go out and then you guys are going to learn what works and share that with each other and then learn what you're hearing. And then if we get, say, a critical mass of folks with a very specific issue like you're describing, that gives the EDC the idea. All right, well, what can we do? Who can we talk to try to help address this? So
Right.
that's the process we see forward.
But yeah, I like that. That's great.
And finally,
Hi.
the other thing is recording all this is that we'll have a record of who went where, when. We can then generate a report and alert you guys to say, hey, you visited this place 6 or 9 months ago. Have you thought of, have you heard from them? Do you want to think about stopping by?
And will we be, from a data standpoint, and I think we did in the past, is create a list of emails and businesses, it's some information that can be accessed and emails to be sent in any specific forum that we want to have. We had that, the plastics and the setbacks and all that stuff. If there's certain businesses that want to be engaged.
Sure, and that's why I emphasize the email on here. When you guys visit and get an email, now you've got a personal relationship with them. What we found is that list would be much more responsive if we were to reach back out to say, there's an ordinance that's being discussed that might impact you.
Yeah.
Would you do this survey or might you, would you come to a meeting?
Right.
So as much as we do have general information about the businesses, these emails and that personal connection is the way to get the people to be the most
That's
responsive.
true.
Yeah.
I think the point is right now, maybe a business on a lark gets 2 or 3 of us hitting them at the same time, then we can manage who already saw a business. But right now, just get out there and we'll put the information in and we'll have a management tool for assigning things more like the city has. But right now, there's, nobody's hearing from us. So we should just, we'll start to put in more of those controls later on, but now just, feel free to go out.
Now, I guess the question is, you've got CVS, Big Y, and all those different bigger, or big, not big box, but those bigger companies that have businesses that have the sort of chains or what have you. You might not contact an owner But there's still a way to sort of interact, have a communication with who's running
Yeah.
business locally.
Also the employees, the experience that, anybody who's, working in Groton, the environment is what we want to reflect up to, policymakers and
Right.
also support. So, yeah, I think, too much information is good, and we'll parse it down if we find ourselves inundating town.
Yeah, you may find priorities later for various reasons, but for now, I agree with you.
Yeah. We'll find
Right.
trends in the data.
Okay,
That
yeah.
will start to pop out, but,
Yeah.
But George actually has his hand up. I
okay.
want to let you know.
George?
Hi,
Welcome.
good evening, everybody. So three things I have to share. Noting that Susan and I been on this commission for a long time, and I don't want to count because I don't want to give away Susan's age.
I was very
so-
young.
But this effort of compiling and corralling business information in the town of Groton has been ongoing since 2017. So don't be surprised that some of these or most of these retail operations have already been visited at one point or another by Susan or myself and various other past commissioners in compiling them already. So that's number one. So some of them may say that we've already done this before. And a lot of those retail outlets are still here, but nonetheless, we have new ones that are popping up every 6 months or so. I think the town and the town clerk may have a better record of any new business coming in, and that may be a point of outreach to find out who are the new businesses coming in, or Lauren could compile every month who are the new businesses coming in. But I just wanted to mention that you may be knocking on the same doors that have been knocked the last 5 years. And I don't want to waste anybody's time for one. That's number one. Number two, the town of Groton's Commission on Economic Development was intended to target the small and medium-sized businesses in the town of Groton. We came into an understanding at some point earlier on, the retail businesses were at that time would be embraced by the Mystic Chamber and Eastern Chambers because a lot of retail outlets have membership there. But we want to connect with the small and medium businesses that are building or entrepreneurs or making a widget or building a product or manufacturing or et cetera, the entrepreneurs and likewise. That is the key lack we miss in our system. And we've been, Paige and myself and a couple of others, John Bird and Mayor Keith Hedrick and Mayor Placero, we've been tackling that objective for the last 2 years. And one of the priorities for the city of Groton, the town of Groton, and the city of New London is to create a database of all businesses within our municipalities. And we are using technology for that. And so the priority for the legislative realm was that we had asked from the legislators for X amount of money to build this database. It's an electronic database where it will be updated as much as it possible dynamically of businesses moving in and moving out. So the critical limit that we have is we do not know all businesses under our roof. And there's no way of, in the past, identifying what businesses are still within Groton, or if they move to New London or to Stonington or to Huntington. So we devised a manner and means technologically to be able to do that. So we're waiting if there's money comes in down the pipeline from the current legislation to do that.
So George, can I comment on that? I think that's a really good point, and the data is already there somewhere. The people apply for a new business, they have to provide certain information to the town or city, right? So, I mean, are they also providing
No,
their
not to the town
email,
or city, to
The-
only to the Secretary of State.
Secretary of State, but how does it filter down to the town?
There is no particular mechanism.
Why not?
Suzanne, I'm happy to talk about this during the next subcommittee meeting.
Okay,
It gets in the weeds
okay.
a little bit.
Okay.
There is a town, there's a legal certificate that's required to be filled out. But it's really not reliable in the extent, from our perspective. And again, we've had various strategies attacking this. When I hear Bob say something like, let's just go out and go to businesses that are open and let's start with that and let's get a month or 2 months worth of data and maybe adjust from there. To me, that seems like the most straightforward way. We will do what we can in the back end to support with lists. But right
Yeah.
now, if you see a business that's open, that's fair game.
And
Right.
George, let me just
That's
address your first. I think it's very important. You have extensive experience and we do have members of the EDC who've been here for a long time and spoken to a lot of businesses. So if you think it's valuable and you're willing to take the time and put that into the feedback page that the town has set up, that may, rather than knocking on doors, you may have some institutional knowledge from your years of being out there, and rather than bother that business again, you just put that information in so we start to capture it in the system. So for someone like you, I haven't been doing that all those years, so I'm gonna physically go out to those visits, but you have so much information from
That's,
years here that may be helpful to capture. If it's not, I know
It's
we're all
not
busy. And I
viable.
don't,
Bob, it's not viable because Susan have knocked on doors. Other commissioners have knocked on doors. Actually, to be frank with you, Susan and the other commissioners, the last 7 or 8 or 9 commissioners, I do not know the list of all those that they knocked on. And
Yeah.
so it's hard for me to validate who they have. Do you understand what I mean? I don't know who Susan have reached out to all these years because she has done so many. And so I don't want, so that's,
yeah,
and we
my
don't
only
have
point-
all the other past commissioners here anymore. So we don't know who.
I would say, I mean, I would say if we knocked on someone's door in 2017 and spoke with them for 3 hours, the answer of what they need now after COVID would be
Yeah,
so
it's
far
different.
different than when it was in 2017. I mean, it's changing day by day, even in our business. and we're
Exactly.
So-
Exactly. I think it does change day by day, and it's a good reminder when we go in there and say, hey, we're
True.
here
True,
and we're
true,
listening.
True.
Yeah.
That's a
Well,
good
just
point.
to add, George, to your point, there was an effort over the years by myself, you and other commissioners in the past. And it's good to do more touches with businesses. But I agree that, we've done this before, but I think we can continue to build on that. As Joe's saying, that it makes sense for people to be, to hear from us and for us to reach out and for us to reignite that relationship with the new commissioners too, because it's a new guard, except for you and I, George.
True,
So, you've got new
True,
people,
true.
And so I
Good
think it's
point.
good to engage. Yeah.
Good point. Yeah, good point. Yeah, maybe that's true too. That might be a retouch, so to speak. Yeah, okay.
Exactly.
Makes sense, makes sense.
Good point.
Thank you, George. Anything else on business outreach?
I think
That's
that's
for now.
great.
Okay,
That's all I have.
community,
Thanks, Suzanne.
okay, thank you. Community investment funds, coordination with city EDC. I met with Leslie and I met with Sierra. We had a really good meeting about.
Do you want me to talk about the community investment fund real quick, just
Yeah.
for Joe's benefit? Suzanne?
Yeah.
I guess, and Paige had discussed that there's some changes in the rules of the community investment fund that they could be used for planning for.
Sure. So Community Investment Fund is a state-run fund. It's a sizable amount of money. They open rounds every 6 months, and Groton is one of 55 communities or municipalities that's eligible for the funding. They're really looking for transformational projects that really extend into those historically disadvantaged communities and making an economic impact that's measurable. What they just released the details about most recent round 3 on Monday. What we have the opportunity to do besides to request money for larger, more concrete infrastructure or construction projects, we can get a planning grant to the amount of $250,000 that would set us up to do the studies, the preliminary designs, or even some of the public outreach that would help us formulate a grant that would be more competitive. And again, they expect this to go on for about 4 more years. So it's no problem for us to get some planning money. And we're entertaining that with conjunction with the city.
Yeah, that was part of it. And George, this was part of your recommendation the other, back in January to get together with Sierra. So we had a good meeting. That there was 2 points to it. One was how can we work with their EDC, with tools and other things, since they have a robust, obviously presence in the city, and we can benefit from that. And that's going well. And I hope to have more information on that. Another meeting with Sierra, and I can loop Suzanne, I can loop you in with Sierra as well. They're very open and helpful. But the other point of that was because we had discussed the community investment fund changes to the regulation where it could be used for planning. I saw that as a potential opportunity where the town could get some money that the city could use for some planning projects. I guess the whole point is to have them more shovel ready. By investing in the planning, you can transition quickly to more. So
That's correct.
So we had some good conversations there. I think Paige has been in discussions with Leslie a little bit about moving that forward as well. So it's early stages, but everybody's enthusiastic to work together. And
So Bob,
Are there any projects are identified that you guys are looking at? For CIF funding or?
There's been a handful of things that we've kicked around, and I think with regards to working with the city, they've had ideas with regards to whether it's parking or things on Thames Street, the wastewater treatment plant. So
that's where we're careful to let the city take the lead on the money that we need for the city. They're Sierra and those guys.
Exactly, yep.
Information. And then, but it's townwide too, so we can do other.
we are open to it townwide.
Yeah.
But because they streamlined the planning application process for the $250,000, it really does set us up that if we see something that's a good idea, that might be a good fit, but we're not at that shovel ready stage, then we apply for the planning first, and then hopefully we can move on for a bigger grant request.
so if I may share, Bob, 250,000 is the minimum. And the total project budget should be at least $1.5 million. So the
That's for an
project
infrastructure project. That's right.
250, at least 250K, and the total project must be at least $1.5 million. And that's a planning grant of $250,000. So the anomaly here, the way the state works, because the city is, even though it's semi-autonomous, it's part of the town. And so it has to be collectively pitched to get the money. So the city itself cannot seek state grant, or in some cases, I believe, the federal grant as well. So it is imperative that it is a joint pitch for this money. Now, this is a lot of money. I think it reaches about $2 billion. I think Joe probably knows this or can look this up. It reaches up to $2 billion. It's bonded money. And from what I understand, Groton did not receive the last 2 rounds of money, or it was denied. I don't know the background of why they denied it. Maybe we can discuss it somewhere at a different locale. But I think learning from that denial, we need to brush up our next pitch. There are not many in Eastern. We got.
Well, a lot of denials that you see up there for this kind of funding is the word that you guys use probably 10 times already, and it's shovel ready. When you're asking other legislators up there to vote on giving you money, the last thing they want to do is have it come back the following year as unused money. They want to make sure, so when you walk in and because now I've made the push and I got
You gotta be
you
there.
guys to vote for it.
Yeah,
And we're all colleagues. And next year I said, well, that project never actually went through. And they're like, oh God, we could have gave that to so-and-so. They were shovel ready. That's why I think that's really important to have that money in there, because really it's about getting shovel ready. Because that's, if you're gonna bring a project to someone, they want to know that it's actual, feasible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely a big factor. They have some very specific parameters which can be helpful. So we're trying to find the right fit, but shovel readiness is critical as well.
And another ironic thing was when this fund was created, Groton and Groton's workforce development and employment was touted as a key factor for creating this fund. And ironically, we didn't get the money. So go figure that one. But nonetheless, as what Joe has said, we could put a lot of shovel-ready project right up front. I'll be happy to share with Lauren and Sam. Paige already has a copy of the eligibility criteria. And I think we should reach out and tap, because we have critical demands from not only EB, but also for Pfizer and also the wind industry that we need to accommodate in this region. Everything from rehabilitation to new building construction to apartment building to cleaning up the streets and improving aesthetics of our township. And we have a lot of beautiful things that needs further enhancement to bring in more revenues into our state and region. Thank you.
George.
Thank you, George. Okay, anything else on that? Everybody, okay. Center Groton sewer connection. Okay, so we had some interest in discussing on that. The town sewer connection at the intersection of 117 and 184.
That's what Tim Hortons want, back corner. That's really the
Yeah.
piece, the parcel, okay.
Sam, do you want to say anything?
Yeah, let me just remind everybody of the background on this. About over 10 years ago, it's been now that the town had put together design plans for this 1 mile connection, which would be in the right of way of Route 117 for the sanitary sewer. Bond financing was not pursued. I think current prices put it at 5 million roughly. There's also TIF district is a possibility for that intersection. So in that case, if a developer had interest, then they would be able to front load that financing and get a share of the revenue on the back end of the development completion. So just to wrap it up, it is identified as a priority. There's a utility infrastructure grant program at the state level that Groton may qualify for, but that's not been finalized at this point. So we're still looking for funding.
And it's on our agenda because we had a business owner in the community come here, Jane Couteau, and try to speak to us. And we needed to put it on the agenda and have her come back again later on where we can put it on the, so we, notified everybody to come and discuss it. It's obviously something that would be hugely beneficial to development. Leanne Aubry has discussed her, absolute support for the project. She asked me to mention that tonight. And then I also have a letter that Jane, who couldn't be here tonight, asked me to read into the record.
Is she a local person that's?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's so the letter says, "Dear members of the Economic Development Commission, I'm writing to you today to express my support for the Center of Groton sewer connection. As a local business owner, I think it's a wonderful idea and investment for the town to be able to provide a town sewer connection at the intersection of Route 117 and Route 184. Having a public sewer connection would help attract future developers and businesses to this area, which would benefit the Groton tax rolls. This would be a great time to invest in this project as there is local, state, and federal focus on investing in infrastructure and often financial assistance and grants for such projects. Please take advantage of current focus on the infrastructure and invest into this area of Groton that has often been overlooked, but has a lot of potential for future development and business investment. Thank you for your time and consideration. I'd appreciate if this letter you read at tonight's meeting. I am unfortunately unable to make it in person tonight for prior engagement conflicts. Sincerely, Jane Puto.
So can you tell me, what businesses that is she involved in? She's a business owner in the community?
Yeah, do you recall?
She runs at least one of the Dunkin' Donuts, and I'm not sure which
Okay.
one.
Okay.
And it's at least one. It could be more than one.
I actually supported the council when I was on it, and I mean, way back in the RTM, somebody else, always people come in and want to develop their land, and it's always the issue of the infrastructure and getting there.
Right.
But on the council, I thought the council even was ready to vote on a TIF credit with a developer when they came, this was a few years ago, and now it's probably even more enticing because
Right.
obviously it's more rent and, everything's gone up a little bit, but I would be very supportive, so at least to look into it.
I think it's a no-brainer with the housing need and all the other things, those kind of things are super important to having
Yeah.
density and everything else.
Yeah.
And maybe this is an area with outreach. We could go to businesses in those areas, notate their opinions, so we have some,
Right.
some data to present to the council and other
Yeah.
policymakers to push it through.
Yeah, and to your point, Joe, the infrastructure is key, because I know that there was that connector, and Sam can attest to this, between 117 and Flanders Road, which is owned by Holstein. That parcel, I forget how many acres there are there, but there's that desire for the town to commit dollars to help the infrastructure in that. I don't know if you're familiar with that area.
Yeah, but no, I am. There was an artist rendering of
Both.
that.
Not Chestnut Hill,
There was
Hazelton
an
Hill.
artist rendering and it was gonna be a pretty large complex, which is supported. It's on 184, it's on 117. It's not someone that's in the middle of the woods.
Yeah, the one you're describing, yeah, definitely got as close as we've seen to negotiating that TIF, the regulation that would be required for that. So those are the two possible avenues that would get us there. If we could find some of the funding, the infrastructure funding, it's again, as close to a shovel-ready project as we can expect.
And I think the simple question for that, anybody listening or watching, or anyone we speak to, the question would be, what would a sewer extension mean to you? To have that response and kind of codify that could help us get some inertia on this, maybe. From people that will be impacted.
10,000 EV employees that don't want to cross a bridge that we know can be trouble.
Yeah, for sure.
And will be for the next few years. So there's a lot of incentive to move on the side of the river if you work at EB.
I agree, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, anything else on that particular issue?
Bob? Bob,
Oh, his hand.
Oh, go ahead.
sorry to be the only ones raising my hand.
You missed it too.
I wish I was there. I apologize. I had one
You're always-
a tight schedule, one meeting to another. Sam, you probably already know, Paige and I, we were talking about reaching out to the LLDC. I forgot the acronym. Basically, we are part of the defense community. And the entire state is part of the defense community. And so we are eligible to reach out to that particular organization. Paige already has that info to get funding. Anything under the sun, so to speak, if I may be too bold to say it, because we are part of the defense community, the sub base is here. We need anything for infrastructure, community development, to embrace childcare or any of those kind of things. We can now reach out to that particular entity to get funding. And this is DoD money directly. And that includes infrastructure, sewer and whatnot. And
Thanks, George.
I believe I've also shared this with GU. So they could also look into tapping that separately, because our maintenance also goes up in various folds as EB grows and as well as the base grows and many other entities supporting both of these entities.
Sounds good. Thanks. If there's sounds like Paige has that and we can follow up with you later if we've got other questions.
Good point. Thank
Thanks.
you, George.
And we're talking about millions of dollars, billions of dollars.
Okay, excellent. Any new business? Anybody? Okay, let's see, the chair report. I attended the State of Groton, Mystic and Stonington, the chamber gave. It was great. The mayor of Groton spoke, our town manager spoke, and the first select woman of Stonington spoke. I thought it was a great forum. Everyone had like 5 minutes and they kind of briefed everybody on, you know, soup to nuts, what's been going on in the last year. And I think that's something the chambers are going to host more. It was very effective. Got to kind of get a condensed version of all the stuff on that. I think that they're, I'll put it in the packet next time. I'm not sure if there was a PowerPoint that they released or not, but, and again, Suzanne was there as well. I think we all have the ability, if anybody wants to attend any chamber event, we're members. So reach out to myself, town staff. And
Yeah, let Lauren or myself know. And, you know, the terms, depending on the event, may vary, but as a town, we're members, so we could get at least the membership rate, if nothing else. So, yeah.
And so as not to eat up too much, and so as not to eat up too much time at the meeting, I won't read it out, but I'll start to put in the packet a calendar of all the events at the chambers and things. So you guys have it, and for the upcoming month, and then you could, you know, proactively kind of put it in your schedule and get a pass or whatever. And also remember, like I said, for outreach, we can offer that to businesses as well that aren't already members of those chambers. The chambers have been gracious to us to allow us to bring them in. Obviously, it helps us. So
Yeah.
Okay, so there's that. I also attended. They had Orsted and Eversource had a preliminary briefing with the town manager and a few others, and they included me about what's happening with the offshore wind. Nothing out of, you know, it's a very preliminary time. I think they're going to move on to some more specifics and things. Obviously, there was a lot of questions on the impact on long-term jobs and whether they were doing my question.
System too, you know, in terms of the.
Yeah, our how it benefits Groton
Yeah.
is what I was asking.
Positive versus negative. Well, there's a whole thing, but you're right. Yeah, it's there's a lot of benefits.
It was nice to give us, but there's no like meat. There's nothing to share that came out of it that everybody doesn't know at this time. But it's nice to know that they're starting to engage, and I think there's going to be a lot more public comments and public presentations. And whatever I get from that, I'll share, and I think everybody can be involved. So I'll pass it on. But that's something to happen. And then we all know Paige is the president of CDOS, the Connecticut Economic Development Association, and has included me in some of their tools and technique seminars, and those things are also online as well. That was a great one. There was about practical economic development work, and they're up on YouTube. And you can reach out to Paige about that. It's just, they're very, you know, it's when you consolidate a group of individuals doing economic development across the state, it's valuable information in a short time frame that you can suck it in. And I think it's a great asset to the town that Paige is the president, right? So we have, you know, and there's a lot of creative people discussing all the ins and outs across the state of how they've managed certain projects and things. So there's that. Let's see. We talked about the subcommittee, talked about I spoke to Walker Potts, the executive director of the Naval and Maritime Consortium. I invited him to come here and give us a 5-minute overview of what they do. Briefly, the Naval and Maritime Consortium is a active network of member companies, community partners, OEMs that collectively address the challenges and share solutions and cooperate to develop communities within the growing blue tech industrial sector. I think it'd be great to kind of brief us and get us up to speed, also give the public a little more information about what they do, since that's kind of in line with George brought up earlier, the blue tech
Yeah.
things. And so that'd be a good opportunity for us. And I believe we'll be able to make that happen next meeting, but depends on Walker's schedule. And we discussed the CIF funds. Yeah, okay, that's what I got.
Good report.
Thank you.
How's it update?
Staff reports?
Sure, thanks. So it was in the packet. But one thing that wasn't in there, you referenced Paige's role with CETUS, the professional organization statewide. And as part of that role, he did accompany staffers from at the state level, advanced CT, as well as DECD at a national convention or conference for specifically targeted towards site selectors. And this was held in Maryland over the last 3 days. That's why Paige is not here today. And it'll be really interesting to see what the feedback is. Largely every state was represented. Connecticut had a good group of folks there raising awareness, and the target audience, something like that, site selectors who really serve as brokers for folks who are trying to expand, and then possibly other corporations who are looking for, for sites to expand. So that's the only other thing I wanted to mention, and it'll be interesting to see how his experience was.
Thank you. Sir?
I also included my report in the packet, but I'll just quickly touch base on, I think, 3 things. One is, most of you, I think, hear my speech about rates every single time, but certainly we saved our customers a lot of money versus Eversource.
Don't remind me.
However, for all you Eversource fans, their energy rates will be coming down in July. I don't know what that,
Okay.
I don't know what that is yet.
We had changed suppliers too, so that was a savings.
Yeah.
Now it's not the equivalent of buying furniture every month, but the value of what I pay for electricity.
Well, so if you have a third-party supplier, you may want to double check it and see where you're at for like July,
Okay.
because Eversource will come down. I just don't know what that will be yet.
So they-
Yeah, go on, right?
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Don't say that.
Later,
And-
after you switch.
It will go back up in January, but.
Yeah, right.
But anyways, and then the other thing that I'll mention, and these are somewhat related, but we did do our federal kind of filings for 2022, so that's all wrapped up. So some of this information is included in the packet, but outage statistics always stand out. So the average Groton Utilities customer had our service ready and available to them 99.994% of the time, which is just outstanding. And related to that, we also were just recognized nationally as a reliable public power entity, and we were the platinum level designation. So just kudos to all the men and women at Groton Utilities that make that possible.
Congratulations.
It's awesome.
Thanks, Aaron. That's
Thank you
great.
very much.
I see George had his hand up at one point. I'm not sure what about.
So since I couldn't, since Susan is here, it might be following up on Bob's mention, it might be worthwhile exploring inviting BioCity center, the director for BioCity who were in Cure, not Cure,
It
for her
was.
to come over and also give us an update of what's going on in the life science industry and the direction that they are going forward. And ideally also the direction that the state is going forward with bioscience, because we're putting in more money in and we are again creating another corridor. And what's the status of that? What's the expectation for that? What could Groton do to accommodate, facilitate progress, advance that realm? So in addition to Walker, to have BioCT
Good
Groton
idea.
come by and say something. And I think, in also to addition to what you were saying, Bob, we just, or rather this region just launched something else in addition to the blue sector. We also created something called the Climate Studio that would be based out of Yukon Avery Point. And this would be a endeavor that would make Avery Point is sort of a accelerator studio for climate sciences, climate technology, entrepreneurs, startups, et cetera, et cetera. It's a different model from an accelerator, a different model from an incubator. This is called a studio. So it has a collaboration with venture capitals, and they would be based in Avery Point. And they just had the party last couple of weeks ago. So I just wanted to share that. So we have another thing in our ballpark, so to speak, on a broader sense of blue tech. Thank you.
Thank you, George.
I'm raising my
Suzanne?
hand manually.
Yes.
Aaron, I have a question for you, and I'm sure you get this all the time, but I'm gonna ask since I've got the expert in the room. Why can't I get Groton Utilities and no egg?
I know, I always ask that, like, never a good answer.
Because service territories are locked. That's the short
Maybe
answer.
unlocked?
That's the short answer.
Yeah, is it ever possibility that
We
would
do have
ever be
David.
changed? Because my
David is our
brother lives in
town.
Groton Lone Point and I have outages all the time and he's a mile from me and he's always fine. So I know when I go out, I just go to his house. And so
Yeah,
it's unfair. Just
I'm in
locked in.
Crosswind, and we have the same thing, we're no ank on the fringe, but.
yeah, so
Yeah.
service territories were created 100+ years ago. And really haven't changed.
Hmm.
So that's not to say that they never will, but
So we have to move, is what you're saying.
Yeah, what would it take to get them to change? Like what would make, is there any possible scenario where they would consider changing it?
it would take state statutes and a lot of money.
In other words, Moses could probably part the sea from here to easier. than
That's
when you're
right.
gonna get Christ.
We get a ticket.
Okay.
to go do it.
Yeah, it would definitely be a change to state law and money, a lot of
Okay.
money. Infrastructure is very expensive.
Right. I appreciate the response and I have better understanding of why I'm in the dark. My brother down the street is not in the dark. Thank you.
But we do serve the water to no ink, so, so
Okay.
that's,
It's good
That's a
water.
plus.
I do enjoy it.
My brother's at Groton Long Point, so he's, yeah.
I remember many years ago, the first time I realized how great Groton Utilities was I was in one of those stores and someone came up and said, "What's your utility company?" And they wanted to give me a flyer. It's like Groton Utilities, like, "Oh, no."
Yeah, it's the,
So,
no.
that's like, what's going on in Groton? They're like,
My wife is actually a snob Groton Utilities customer, because when people say they have Eversource, she's like, oh,
yeah.
because, I mean,
Oh, that's
we
funny.
are very proud to say, and we've actually looked at other houses at one point in my life, and it did matter.
Yeah.
We will not, I mean, that's an incredible statement.
It really.
And
It
it's
is.
not, and I'm not a singular voice on that. There's a lot of people
Yeah.
that will not leave outside the Groton Utilities because of their experiences, and they know, just like you shared,
Tougher,
I got
yeah.
the street, someone has power, someone doesn't.
It's
And that's a lot of it. It is the men and women that make all that happen. And,
we're at the end of the grid, so it's always a problem. Any wind, any.
They had over.
oh yeah, you're well loved. That's the Eversource guy.
I will say my own wife, not necessarily just Groton Utilities, but to your point, right? If we're looking for homes, she specifically wants a municipal owned power company. And so there's 6 munis, I think, in the state of Connecticut, and they all do a wonderful job.
They do.
Yeah, that's really great. Well, enough of that.
You can check with David.
Yes, thank you very much. Councilor McBride, do you have anything to share? Appreciate you attending.
Yes, thank you. I wish I could be there. The only thing I'd like to update is we are working on the council put forth to move forward with a property reuse committee, and 3 members of the council have formed that committee, I don't know, 9 months ago or so. And we've met with numerous zoning, conservation commission, housing authority. We have somebody on the historic district commission, and we have an individual who is involved with OPM on the contracting board. And we've come a long way. We presented to council probably a month or so ago, and long story short, council had a lot of comments, a lot of changes we needed to make. We've incorporated a lot of those changes. We've gotten comments from town manager Burt, his administration, and many, many others. So that document is in process. We're hoping to move it forward on the 23rd agenda in May for council to consider and make additional changes or comments or approve or disapprove, whatever they decide to do. And I would, we had invited the EDC a while ago, but we didn't, no one from the EDC was able to join for one reason or another. But I would like, if it's possible, for someone or the members of the EDC to review that document, because it's near its completion, and any comments you would like to provide, we'd like to take it hard and make changes as necessary. We're meeting next Wednesday again, and then we'll probably have a follow-up meeting the Wednesday after that to finalize everything. So if there's any comments the EDC would like to make, that would be great. We also next Tuesday or next Wednesday when we meet, there was a developer who has reviewed the documents, is going to give us comments as well from his expectation on what's needed in the document. So we're getting a lot of information. We're putting it together and a little more streamlined in the process. It was too long, and we made those changes. So I think it's moving forward, and I think it's a compilation of a lot of people. We look just like hear the comments on it. So if somebody wouldn't mind taking a look at it, it's on the agenda. We did meet last night. So that's the current draft, other than the comments that were made last evening. So we really like the input from the EDC on that. The one other point I'd like to make, and this is not related to the council, related to businesses. I'm not sure if has the EDC put any information on the Connecticut Boost Fund, because I received a loan for a business, maybe 6-9 months ago, and I thought it was over. But I recently had found out that the Connecticut Boost Fund, which is a low interest loan, longer term loan that I think the governor put forth a year or two ago, there's still funds available. So I'm not sure if the EDC wants to put something out to businesses, because being a business owner, cash flow is critical. And this loan program is, I think it's 4.5%, which is a really good rate. So that's out there if you wanted to look at it and maybe inform your business partners of that loan. There is still money available. So I just want to make sure people knew that, because I was told 9 months ago there was no more money available. So that's all I have, and I'm happy to take any questions or provide any other information I can.
So shame on me for not sharing that, everybody here. So yes, there is money in the CT Boost Fund, and it so happens to be something that my board at the state is overseeing. So it is divided to regionally. So the entity that is supposed to take care, promote, and vet those applications is sector. So sector should be the entity that all these businesses should be reaching out to. The information is available on DECD website as well. It's called CT Boost. And there's still some more money going available this year.
George, do you have any advice on how we as an EDC could support that with, like Council McBride discussed, or is there something more we could do from your experience?
No, it's something that each small businesses need to. I've done what I could on the state level, but it is something each businesses need to do on their own. Our EDC does not have the bandwidth of. We can put it up on our website, and I think that is the best avenue, so to speak. Likewise, we could also put CT entrepreneurship program also on our website, so then they know when is the next round of funding for CT Next. But other than
Suzanne,
that, the entity could do anything, us itself.
Suzanne, maybe you want to make a note of that, so when you have the outreach discussion, you could put that out on one of the recipes of things we might mention to businesses. You can be involved
I already-
with chambers.
I-
Yeah.
I did take a note. Thank you. Yep.
I know David raised his hand, but I just wanted to chime in. So our exploremoregroton.com website has incentives and financial support that's available to all businesses. So to your point, when you are talking to folks you either, if you send them to a survey and they indicate they're looking for financing, you can follow up, or if you find out in conversation, put it in the report, we can get those links in front of them.
And that may be part of you know, opening discussion, like, what do you do at the EDC? Well, we can get you to business events, we can help you find financing, we could connect you to, and then that kind of, you know, will perk up the conversation for business owner. if you're
Yeah,
offering
and
to
that's,
help.
that's
Yeah.
currently not in the survey, right? Sam, there's not a question about, are you interested in getting funding information?
Doesn't ask that specifically. Definitely want to try to keep that, what we have is a question that's an open-ended issues.
Yeah.
So certainly if that's what's
Yeah.
top of mind, hopefully they would say as much.
What report is, Councilman McBride speaking of, that went in, just, and how will where will we see that?
So to respond to that, I would say, once it's available in a reviewable form, Lauren and I can work together at the staff level and get it out in front of you guys. And I don't know how you want to handle maybe
That sounds good.
compiling comments,
Yeah.
but certainly it sounds like there's probably still a little bit of tweaking that's happening.
Okay,
But when it's ready for review, we can make that available. And as Councilman McBride mentioned, so it is the document that would regulate the disposal of excess town-owned property.
okay.
Yeah, I missed the
Um,
title when David was talking. What's the title of the document? Property something, something.
Proper reuse committee, I think.
Property Reuse
Yeah.
Committee is, I believe, the name of it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
So would it be timely to also look into, and Susan remembers this, Counselor Rachel had brought up about blight.
Yeah.
And she had seek the assistance of the EDC to provide some kind of a feedback on blight. And maybe that would be a conversation in conjunction with the reuse that we could explore and offer a feedback.
You talked about fees or something like that, but
Yeah, so
Yeah.
just for everybody, for the new folks, we kind of tabled that because we didn't have enough research or bandwidth to do so. My suggestion would be is if it's something that the committee wants to talk about again, put it on new business for next month. This may be related to the reuse, but not directly. And so I think it would be great for the EDC to be able to focus on reviewing and providing comments. That's what's really timely because that's going to be by the end of this month before we meet next.
Oh, okay,
All
all right.
thanks,
How about,
George.
how about we do what Sam suggests, get that information out there related to what the reuse committee has discussed. And George, if you think after reviewing that it fits together, then we'll put it on the agenda with the other and
Sure, yeah.
launch.
Yeah.
good.
We can work with Bob to figure out if the best way to get comments is to send them directly back to us, or if we want to have them sent to you.
Right.
We can touch base on Monday.
Right.
When it goes out, give everybody a little bit of instruction so that we make sure that whatever comments people have
Okay.
can be put in front of the agenda for the town council.
Put them both at the same time too, but probably would want to do
We're happy to support with that regard. So yes.
Council McBride, do you have a short fuse on this, or is it, can this, how soon do you need the comments back for to be effective from
On
us?
Wednesday.
No, I think what Sam was said, correct me if I'm wrong, is he thinks that you want to, once we publish the document in, let's say, the Cal meeting, you then want the EDC to review it and provide the comments to the town as opposed to receiving comments now. Is that kind of what you're indicating, Sam?
Whatever works for you. If you have, as soon as you have a document that the committee can review, I'd say make it available.
Okay, I'll do that. I'll talk to town manager Bert tomorrow to see if he thinks it's appropriate to review in its current form. And if so, I'll distribute it to the chair of this committee. And if not, I'll defer to the town manager on how to do that. So I'll follow up tomorrow.
Great.
Thank you very much.
David,
Yeah, thanks for
Thank you.
mentioning.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Any other liaisons?
I want to just bring up, I am on the Groton Sale Committee. That's a meeting that I do the first Thursday of the month. And we had a presentation today that I honestly will tell you will maybe the greatest memorial I've ever seen in my life. And I've been to Washington DC.
Yeah, yeah.
I've been to a lot. I have never been to the Pearl Harbor one.
Yeah.
And obviously the World Trade Center is moving.
Yeah,
But we had a presentation today and I hope everyone gets involved with it, but we are going to be very, very proud of what happens down there. It was the slides they just came up with, landscape architect. There's a lot of opportunities for people to be involved. Like if you want to just simple as buying a $250 paver, all the way up to if you're a business, you want to buy a tree for $10,000. But when people see this, I was speechless for first time in my whole life when they started showing the slides. And this was just a couple hours ago, and I'm
wow,
super excited right now. So I make sure I want to share that with you guys.
right.
But if you can, and if you're out there listening, on Facebook, it's the USS Groton Sale. Just punch it in on Facebook and make sure you follow us. And then you just click on it. We're gonna put all the photos. But we're gonna be very proud of this. There's no other way to say it. And mostly that it's memorial to the whole entire town.
That's
This isn't
great.
a sailor's memorial or a Navy this is everyone, if you wait a table somewhere in Groton, if you're a school teacher and you taught a kid from the Navy,
Connected.
just, it's all connected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can really see it in the design and what this looks like. So
Very nice.
you'll be as
Nice.
excited as I am.
Thank you.
Where's
so
it gonna be,
much.
Joe?
It's gonna be right on 117, right in front of the public library. And when you're there at night, it's gonna look like a submarine floating, like as if you were standing dockside to it.
Oh,
It's the
nice.
whole scale, the full length, the sail is about 16 feet to the top. It is gonna be massive and it's gonna be awesome.
Is that the sale a long time ago? We
Yes.
tried to find a place for it and it's fine. Now it's found its
It's
home.
been a 15-year journey.
It has, yeah. I mean, I sort of forgot all about it. That's great.
I
Oh,
work
wow.
on the sub, and the actual sale has been, it goes to Bremerton, Washington. So this is a boat that's traveled the world.
Yeah.
It was named the USS Groton.
Nice.
It's really a monument to all, not just the USS Groton, which
All the vessels, yeah.
all the vessels. And the fact that it's been sitting right now, I think for almost 6 years at the sub base waiting.
Right.
And the group is doing unbelievable work. It's a big, heavy lift.
Yeah.
And now we're at a point where we need funds and fundraising to really get the push over the top.
Yeah.
So I'll be in businesses anyway.
Yeah.
What-
It's gonna be
yeah.
twofold.
One of the coolest things last year when you guys announced that and all the public officials got up and talked,
Yep.
one after the other, everyone talked about their ties to Groton, how they all got here. But Mayor Melendez discussed it as well. Juan was talking about his family.
Yep.
I was just, and my dad used to work at Soup Ship and that's how he came here. And you start to, it's not only, like you said, a sailor's memorial, you start to realize that we're all connected
Right.
somehow. And this sort of is a vehicle for people to start to share those stories. So I realized like at that moment, how kind of what a cool and appropriate project that is. So
And then,
Bring everybody together.
but to be
Awesome.
involved in, when you hear all the stories and the different points of view, to understand that these submarines that we build here
Yeah.
yeah.
are like the peacekeeper of the planet. Like those are the one, I mean, what an impact we have on this world. Just little slits of land right here in Groton. I
Yeah.
hate to get all like
No, it's true.
crazy about it, but it really, it's
I have friends that come visit me and then they're, what's that? I'm like, that's a submarine. You have submarines? Just go out there. Just, yeah.
By Seaside where was it? Not Niantic. And I was watching, you could see the submarine going by yesterday. It was off in the distance and it was just amazing, so I have an office on the top floor of the Union Plaza. So submarines go by, the ferries go by, and it's just a really, it's a pride thing, really.
And one of our command tech T-ball kids,
Yeah.
which happens so often in Groton, has moved away. So now here, so what's so important about what we do and who we are is the next kid that fills his shoes, hopefully he goes to a place that's as supportive as Groton is.
Yeah.
And I think most communities are, but it's our job here to make sure that it's for the next kid that comes and fills that jersey, that's on
Yeah.
command tech
Yeah.
and ready to play, that we're all there for. And we
Yeah.
have we had a few Navy kids on the team and you get emotional thinking about it.
Right.
It's really important what we do here. It is.
I had another meeting the other night. We were discussing, I mean, we kind of bandied this about, but the fact is we're in such a great position here with the new class of submarine that's being built here. Communities would kill for the.
Oh, yeah.
So much money involved right now.
So I think in
Yeah.
all the boards and commissions, we need to figure out how we do responsible growth bring people here to, expand the community.
Housing.
It's like, yeah, I mean, other communities don't have that. We have that. So we have the resources. It's about like getting people enthusiastic,
Right.
sort of looking at codes and regulations, what makes sense, what, how we can get it out of the way where it's in the way, or how we can put them there when we need it, and just, move forward. It's a
Yeah.
really exciting time.
It really is.
I spoke with Tony Sheridan about taking over the chair. He was saying he wished he was a young man. He said, what's happening in the area? He says it's going to be so exciting in the next, 20, 30 years. And there's a lot of opportunities here. And it really
Yeah.
is,
From the building side, my two nephews just graduated from college and they're twins and they both got jobs in eBay.
Yeah.
And my brother-in-law works here. It's just, bringing these, our families together and working in the same business and, so it's really exciting.
Well, my whole family's there now, and all the young kids that we were worried about. It's amazing,
Yeah.
incredible, what
Yeah.
a great job will do for someone's confidence, for
Yeah.
what they do, for for how other people look at it.
And, yeah.
So someone gets a job that's like ground utilities or that's electrical,
Yeah.
man, that kid's set for life. He doesn't.
And
even know
benefits,
what it is,
the
what she
benefits
is.
are great too. I mean, it's.
Oh, yeah. I can't do it.
The
Yeah.
ramp up here has been so much different than in the past. I remember in the 80s, like, EV was a different animal. Now, investment in Grosso Tech, like they seem to be laying the foundation in a really responsible way. We just, as community members, we can follow through with that and accentuate it, but it's just, for all the right reasons. We just need to get out there and
Do it.
promote it.
Yeah,
And people are excited.
absolutely.
But it's all the busiest people in town on the committee.
Exactly. And it affects every business, it's all the jobs in the community are linked.
Yeah.
To this endeavor, this history and this growth of this history.
2 degrees of
Yeah.
separation.
Thanks for mentioning it, Joe. Keep us posted.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's great.
We are reaching back down to
Thank
those,
you.
young kids because, because I'm in charge of the Facebook and it's hard. So you do that.
Not
Mhm.
easy.
You do that
I
post
could-
once, you do the post when you can.
Yeah.
But my thought now is, because we have a lot of excitement with the youth, maybe high schoolers, and maybe
Yeah.
do a junior of us,
Yeah.
and they help us on the Facebook. And it's not one of us that's
And
busy.
being tech savvy, so that's the other benefit.
I have teenage girls, so I get a lot of criticism when I try to do social media myself. They're like,
Yeah.
how did you post that yourself?
You have all kinds of other talent, you just can't do it all,
Yeah.
Entertain a motion to adjourn.
Maybe-
Motion?
Second?
Yep.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Hi,
Opposed?
See you guys.
Thank you very much.
thank you. Good to see everybody.
Thank you
Welcome,
for
Joe.
Joining us.
Thank you.
Bye.
Take